to share some anatomy text with y'all today because I'm a very visual learner and I feel like a lot of you probably are too. So obviously this is a man, but the rib cage muscles are the same. So you have you have 4 layers of abs. You have the rectus abdominis that make a six-pack that are the most superficial. And then on the side, you have the external obliques going this way. Underneath that, you have internal obliques going this way. And underneath that, you have transverse abs, which run horizontally. And the transverse abs are the ones that you hear the most about with respect to rebuilding your deep core because they're the deepest ones. They're the closest to your spine, and they have a big role in regulating that internal pressure. But today, what we're talking about is the external obliques and the serratus anterior. So the serratus anterior wraps around from your rib cage to underneath your shoulder blade, and the job of serratus anterior is this. Okay, so serratus anterior runs in the same direction as your rib cage, as your ribs do in the front, kind of angled forward and down. And running in between them and then down all the way to your pelvis are your external obliques, this other layer of your abs, and they run at that same angle. I was taught in school to think of it as putting your hand in your front pocket. That's the direction of your external obliques. So when you push through like this with your shoulder, you engage your serratus anterior. And because your external obliques are so close and intertwined in your serratus anterior, when you push through with your shoulder blade, it helps you get a little bit of that same motion through your rib cage and engage your external obliques. So why does this matter? Well, remember that our whole goal, the whole crux of rebuilding your core starts with stacking your rib cage over your pelvis, because we need to establish this relationship between your diaphragm at the bottom of your rib cage and your pelvic floor at the bottom of your pelvis. So if you go back and you think about what pregnant women do, or just people in general with lack of core strength, a lot of them, pregnant women, tilt up like this in order to make room for that growing baby. Now, people who haven't been pregnant but lack core strength might tilt up or they might tuck down. But in this particular scenario, we're describing the people who tilt up. So they're not getting enough engagement of their external obliques because their external obliques do this. But you can see how this has my rib cage tilted up, and this has my rib cage in a better orientation over my pelvis. But, disclaimer, if you're new to the idea of rebuilding your core, you don't start by engaging your external obliques and learning to close those ribs down, because if you do this without an engagement from the bottom up, just the top down can put pressure out into your belly, which makes it harder to contract your abs, or it can put pressure down onto your pelvic floor, which can contribute to things like leaking and prolapse or pelvic floor muscle dysfunction. So you don't start by where your rib cage is. You start with understanding your pelvic floor, with being able to contract your pelvic floor and your lower abs on your exhale. And when you have a handle on the bottom half, then you add this concept from the top half so that they meet each other and can regulate the pressure going up and down in an effective way.